Welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and Third-Person Blueprint course. In the last lesson, we set ourselves up with a nice type of an end area over here, which goes slightly downwards and it's looking quite nice. We still have some work to do in regards to this. As you can see on the gray box itself, it has more of a beveled out edges over here. So we're going to be working on that later down the line. For now though, let's go ahead and focus on some of those areas over here to make sure we get that elevation nicely done. Alright, so for us to do that, we're going to firstly see what we can do. So we got a staircase and we got a simple elevation over here. So how can we do it? Well, it's quite easy with the staircase. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a simple staircase. Maybe something like this will do just fine. Let's go ahead and just grab it like a small staircase that we need, and holding Alt, we're just going to bring it outwards like so. Holding Alt at the very start, that is, and now we're just simply moving it across like so. And now I'm going to actually make sure that the motion for the camera is lower down. Again, whilst moving the camera, you can use your mouse wheel up and down as a reminder to just slow down or increase the speed of your camera. So that is quite nice. And I'm just going to rotate this like so, to be just like that. Going to actually take off the gray box and make sure that it's nicely set up with in regards to the positioning. So we have a bit of an issue over here, perhaps, that maybe the staircase is a bit too low. So we can either click R and just upscale it like so outwards, but I don't like that the steps are actually increasing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase it overall like so, maybe squish it down a little bit. And this will keep that length of the staircase quite nice overall. Something like that. I'm going to lower down the snapping value as well, which I think I should be able to do with, yeah, there you go, with the same type of scaling that we used for the terrain at the very start. So square brackets, it basically allows you to control that, and I'm just going to lower down to 5 over here. As you can see, it's 5. I'm just going to lower that down to something like this, perhaps. We're going to lower down the staircase just like so. So it's going to look like this. All right, so this is looking quite nice. Now the other side is going to be a bit more interesting. So we need to have a sort of a ramp, but I don't have any ramps over here. Actually, there are only stairs and platforms. So it's actually, instead of just doing a platform, it's actually quite simple to set it up with just a normal platform instead of a elevation. As in, we just simply need to rotate it a little bit to get that kind of result, and it's actually going to be quite easy. I'm going to lower the camera speed real quick and duplicate this a little bit off to the side, then rotate this out like so. 20 degrees I think is going to be quite all right, and then I'm going to lower this down and put it inwards like so. The only thing that we need to be concerned is basically going to be the top section over here. We're not worried about the bottom section. We're just interested in the top being like so. We might need to take off the grid, so I'm just going to use the brackets to take it down all the way to 1 actually, and that's going to give us quite a bit of control, whilst at the same time keeping the values of the location down snap to the grid. And yeah, this is looking quite nice, but I'm not quite keen about this overlaying to the side. So I can either move it off to the side like so, or alternatively I can just squish it downwards, which I think is exactly what I'm gonna do in this particular case. Just squishing it down like so. I think that's going to be quite all right actually. There you go. We got ourselves a nice platform on the side. And also, let's not forget to have a bit of a platform over here, since this is completely empty space. This other side is quite all right. So yeah, I'm going to increase the grid all the way back to 10. I'm going to hold Alt and put this out on the edge, just like that. To make sure it doesn't overlap with the other parts and whatnot. And this is looking quite nice. Or sorry about that, I'm going to take this off and maybe just put off this grid to the side. No, I don't really like this. I'm going to keep it as is, and I think that's going to be quite all right over here. And maybe even, no, I'll delete it. I'll keep this as is and come back to fixing the terrain later down the line. But now though, I think this is a nice setup. Let's go ahead and hit play. Let's see if it works out nicely with the overall setup. For the stairs, we can climb up and down and it's smooth visually. It looks quite nice overall. So yeah, this is pretty much done in regards to this section for the platform. We'll still need to work on this section. This is like a bit of a post or a small section for the harbor, an extra area where you keep it we'll keep it more open. We'll set it up with some props and whatnot to break off the surface area. But in general, more or less, this is going to be quite all right. Now, on the other side, we still need some work to be done. We're going to set up some platforms over here and then lower down to this section on this area. As you can see, we are going to be using different platforms. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to start off by getting this platform over here. I'm just going to grab the same platform that we had on this section, going to hold Alt, move it all the way to the side like so, and see how well this will fit in. Just like that. We might need to stretch it out a little bit back to its original size, just like that, and then drag it all the way down, just like so. And actually, I just realized that we don't have any platforms over here. So let me just go ahead and grab this section like so, holding Alt, going to just move it up to the side, and this looks quite all right. Going to hold Alt and move it up to the side as well. And there we go. That's looking quite nice. Going to turn off the gray box real quick just to see how this looks like. And yeah, the platform looks quite nice. Maybe I'll just put this a little bit more to the side to match it off with this border over here. And I think this is looking quite nice. All right, so now the next thing that we need to do is going to be this section over here. So what is happening over here? We have a small platform basic over here just to connect it. And then this is the same is being used over here just as a nice border support. And then we'll basically need to set ourselves up with different platforms and whatnot just to have more variation and just to break off the overall harbor. So the middle section, as you can see, is like for smaller boats. This is for larger cargoes and whatnot. And this is more like for maybe fishermen or like bit of an extra market over here and whatnot, just to have a nicer variation within this longer type of a harbor. So what we're going to do now is going to be simply just adding some bits over here. I think that's going to be quite easy enough to do. We're going to select both of these. We're going to hold Alt. And we're going to, I just realized the mistake, I'm going to hit delete, going to select only this part, going to hold Alt, and then I'm going to just put it off to the side, just like that. And that's going to be quite all right. Going to hold Alt, make a duplicate, and I'll probably need to do the same thing on the other end. So I'm just going to hold Alt by selecting both of them with Shift and then just duplicating out onto the side, just like that. All right, I think that's looking quite nice. I now need to figure out, because I see like this was lower, this was a bit high, if I need to break off the overall height. So let me just go ahead and check that in regards to the area. And I think, yeah, I will do that. I will go ahead and select all of them. Just going to just bring it upwards a little bit like so, just so we'd have some nicer variation in regards to the elevation for this section. And this is pretty much done. We also need to make sure that this is filled out. So in this particular case, we can see that there is a small kind of an issue over here, but that's quite all right. Let's go ahead and turn off the gray box and see how we can fix it. So for starters, we can't overlap with this other end over here because it'll go into this type of a block, and that's going to give us issues. And we need to make sure that this gap is filled out. So we're going to move it inwards. And yeah, this is the shape that we're going to get. The next part is going to be just making sure that we figure out how we're going to set this up. Actually, I'm going to bring this outwards and just scale it out like so a little bit, maybe something like this. Then I just realized that this platform is actually way too high up. Let me just go ahead and lower this down, just like that, a little bit more. I need to just turn off the grid, set to 1. And now I'm just going to go ahead and a little bit with the shape, just a little bit, just enough like so. And this, I'm just going to lower it down just a little bit so it wouldn't be glitching out like so. I think that's going to be quite all right. Let's go ahead and turn on the gray box and see what else we need. So now it's going to be part for the wooden section of the harbor. We still have a long way to go. And before continuing off with the video, we can talk about in regards to how to break it off a little bit with the surface. So For this section of in a harbor, I'm going to just make a simple screenshot over here and talk a little bit about the design itself. As you can see on the first glance, it's just a simple wooden type of harbor. Well, for starters, there is a bit of an issue with the normal maps, but that's all right. It's not relevant for this sake. We're going to go back onto the image real quick. And the thing I wanted to talk about is how we use these poles over here to just help break up the surface a little bit, just like that. You can see like this part over here is also broken up a little bit. And you can see consistently that's how it's been done in order to just make sure it doesn't look too repetitive with all the shapes and whatnot. And we also use some of the boats, as you can see, to just hide away certain sections and whatnot to, again, help up with the breaking of the overall shapes and design and making sure that it doesn't look too just empty overall. And also we'll be adding certain props and whatnot, but we'll go into that later down the line. And yeah, we're going to continue on with this in the next lesson. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you.